Tuesday saw Kate take part in various outdoor activities and a boat trip, while Camilla joined Prince Charles in Aberdeen. However, the Duchess of Cambridge sent royal fans into a frenzy with a breathtaking picture from the Lake District, while Camilla's royal outing went under the radar. On September 21, Kate was in the Lake District where she took part in various outdoor activities. During the visit, she took a boat trip with two of the Windermere Children, a group of 300 child Holocaust survivors who came to stay in the Lake District in 1945. The children stayed for a period of recuperation following what they experienced in concentration camps and ghettos of Nazi-occupied Europe, at Wray Castle. Meanwhile, Camilla and Charles visited the redeveloped Aberdeen Art Gallery in School Hill. The Duke and Duchess of Cambridge took on a central role in the royal family throughout the coronavirus pandemic. Prince William and Kate are now among the most popular members of the royal family, with YouGov placing them as second and third most popular members of the firm respectively, behind only Queen Elizabeth II. In contrast, Charles was the seventh most popular monarch, with Camilla in at 10th. YouGov surveyed 1,667 from August 27th and 29th, and found 64% thought highly of Kate compared to 36% for Camilla. After a 2017 poll found Britons would prefer Kate and William to become the next monarchs, Camilla was said to be enraged at the prospect of her husband, who is heir to the throne, giving up his birthright. A royal source claimed to Woman TMS Day in 2017, Camilla has told Charles to man up and fight. She TMS fuming and has told him it was his destiny to be on the throne. Camilla is livid that William could potentially take the throne and she TMS pointing the finger of blame firmly on poor Kate. According to the Daily Express TMS royal correspondent Richard Palmer, there was tension in the palace at the time as Charles attempted to implement change in preparation of becoming king. Mr. Palmer said, "Tensions are mounting between staff as the monarchy prepares for life without the Queen. As courtiers oversee a gradual handover to Prince Charles and his sons, some courtiers have found their noses put out of joint amid tensions over the pace of change. It TMS a slightly jarring change, in contrast to the long-held view that the monarchy is in a way modelled on the design of a jar of Marmite. It changes dramatically over the years but so gradually that the change is irreplaceable. It comes as royal expert Duncan Larkham suggested Kate has her own direct line to speak to Her Majesty. He told OK! Magazine, Kate has her own direct line to speak to the Queen and she calls her to check in on her and give her updates on the children. She always leans on her for advice. It TMS believed Kate was the one to teach the Queen how to use Zoom and that TMS been lovely, so she can see her great-grandkids and stay connected. Kate and the Queen have a fantastic relationship. Kate strikes that balance between bowing to her as head of the royal family in public but being able to check in with her as the great-grandmother to her children. Buckingham Palace should not be turned into a museum, according to 77% of votes in a poll of 1,600 people held between 2 p.m. Saturday, September 18th and 9 a.m. Monday, September 20th. Only 343 respondents, 21%, expressed their favor for the idea, while 2% of voters were undecided. The move to open up the palace is set to be part of a set of visionary plans for a shake-up of the royal family from Prince Charles, first in line for the throne, for when he becomes leader. His ambitious plans include hopes for a streamlined monarchy of just 7 senior working royals and the opening of royal private spaces to members of the public. Many readers commented agreeing that they too were not keen on the idea like Queen Elizabeth II. User Holcomb3 said, "I believe Buckingham Palace should remain a royal family home," while Zippy789 questioned the purpose of a royal family without a formal residence, saying, "What TMS the point of the royal family without Buckingham Palace?" Zippy789 also commented that it should only be turned into a museum if the royal family no longer reigned. Other readers were also quick to voice how they oppose the move, with one express.co.uk reader, RDJ, stating, Prince Charles, when and if he becomes king, can do what he likes with Buckingham Palace, but until that time comes, if it comes, he can keep his ideas to himself, adding that there are enough museums in London, they do not need to include the Queen's home. Reader Lucy Lancy echoed their sentiments. Lucy referred to the monarch and the palace as symbols of British pride, great history and culture, and that the palace should be left to function as it is now, with members of the public allowed to visit some of its places at certain times. She added that Charles shouldn't go too far with his changes but ought to keep the monarchy's brand. Others expressed concern over the cost of visiting, with one reader, screen name Doxy, suggesting they would prefer to see the monarch and stare at that balcony instead of visiting a museum. Latest, Princess Beatrice celebrates baby's birth with Edardo. Another voter, Jono, believes Buckingham Palace should certainly not be made into a museum. They said the palace is where the King and Queen should reside. Jono added, handy for Westminster Palace so the PM can have an audience and a focal point for all the tourists visiting London from abroad. Also handy for local schools, so our next king and queen can take their children every morning. US resident, Just Peachy, likened the opening of the space to the public to the opening up of Washington, D.C. in the States, and said Buckingham Palace should remain safe and private. They said, I'm from the USA and I firmly believe that Buckingham Palace should stay a safe and private place for all the future kings and queens to do their duty for the people they serve. They wouldn't do that to Washington, D.C. because it's a monument to the people. God save the Queen. While some of the 21% in favor of the idea also shared their thoughts. Express.co.uk reader TinyMe wrote yes it should, while a user with the screen name Patricia wrote Buckingham Palace is definitely not a home. Charles is right, it's too big for anything else, it belongs to the British people. However, Patricia also believes the change shouldn't be undertaken if it's in response to the royal family wanting to appear woke. They said, don't change its history, we have all had enough of this woke syndrome. Reader Imus Gerapis sees Buckingham Palace and the royal family as a museum already, suggesting the institution is long past its sell-by date. I've been predicting for at least 2 years either a criminal prosecution or civil lawsuit, or both, against Andrew is inevitable. I think anyone with 2 brain cells suspects this is not going to conveniently go away. Last week we heard how Andrew has proved difficult to pin down by lawyers out to serve him with notification of proceedings. A US judge could barely conceal his impatience. Andrew, meanwhile, was organizing shoots and barbecues inside the fastness of Balmoral. Another awful look? On Wednesday the High Court took charge. The court will serve the sex claim on him. Furthermore, New York Judge Lewis Kaplan has just ruled that Giuffre's lawyers could take the US route and that given the dispute over whether the papers had been served in London, it was now entirely lawful for him to order that they should be sent to the Prince's LA-based lawyer Andrew Breckler. What a humiliation for the Queen's favorite child. If he's as innocent as he claims to be, he must step up to the plate and face these allegations openly and honestly. Queen has been delivered several blows in recent years, going from the departure of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle from the royal folds to Prince Andrew's disastrous friendship with convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Despite the changes the royal family underwent, Her Majesty has been urged to stick close to tradition when it comes to the firm's relationship with the public or face real danger to the future of the monarchy. Commentator Nick Bullen, the founder of True Royalty TV, warned a switch to a more celebrity-like way of addressing scandalous claims could mark the end of the royal family. Speaking to Royally Us, Mr. Bullen said, Hilary Mantel talked about how she doesn't think George will be the king one day. I personally think that's rubbish, I think it's Hilary going for a good headline which she's very good at doing. But she drew the parallel between royals and celebrities and said that if they become too like celebrities, the monarchy loses its moment. I do think that's absolutely key. Celebrities, stars, may well have their publicists and may well be aware of their press, the royals don't. The royal commentator continued, that's where the real danger comes with royalty. You look at the moment when royals have tried to step into the world of celebrity, invariably it goes wrong. I think that's one of the issues that Harry and Meghan have had with the Windsor camp. They applied, and perhaps in Meghan's Hollywood training, celebrity principles to an institution that's 1,000 years old. It just doesn't work. For decades, the Queen was known to approach controversial claims made against the royal family guided by the motto "never complain, never explain." The phrase has political origins, as it was first used by British Prime Minister Benjamin Disraeli during the late 1800s. As well as being applied by the royal family, high-ranking political and military officials have used it as a code of conduct ever since. The late Queen Elizabeth is thought to have first brought the mantra into the royal family, and it has been a mainstay of royal communications ever since. Don't miss the statement read, "The whole family is saddened to learn the full extent of how challenging the last few years have been for Harry and Meghan." The issues raised, particularly that of race, are concerning. While some recollections may vary, they are taken very seriously and will be addressed by the family privately. Harry, Meghan, and Archie will always be much-loved family members.